All right, let's see what's happening. Welcome in. I know some of you guys are on Facebook or whatever. You're going to get a lot of this gibberish in the beginning, and then we're going to start officially in a few minutes here. So stand by. Let me just make sure that it is going everywhere that it needs to go. It looks like it's not going to Facebook. Yeah, it's not. So just the YouTube folks tonight. So come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Give me a second here, and we'll get started. Stand by. Stand by. All right, guys, we're gonna get started in a minute. We're gonna get started in a minute here. Just waiting for YouTube to propagate it out. I just need verification that it is working. Let me look on my device, and then we'll get started, guys. Stand by. Okay, YouTube is working, so I'm gonna get started on this topic in a minute here, and then we'll chop all of this off when I do the re-upload. So don't worry, you won't have to wait. Tanya B is in the building. We're gonna chop this all off in the edit, so don't worry. Facebook users who can't hear me, my bad. Technical difficulties, but at least we're up. We're gonna do this show. It's not gonna be super long, but it's gonna be impactful. So I will wait about 60 seconds and I'll get it started, and we can the replay will be available. Let's see here. All right, guys, let's just do this so we can get this show on the proverbial road. Let me just make sure I have my, you know what? We going rogue tonight. We ain't doing no notes tonight. So let's get this started. Give me about 30 seconds. Then I'll intro the show officially so that it'll be available on the audio for the Spotify and all of that. So let's do it. Give me 30 seconds and I'll start the actual show. And welcome to another episode of the Sit Down and Heal podcast. My name is Coach Derek and I am your host. I'm a certified healing journey coach and relationship coach. That means I bridge you between the two things. I help you heal first, and then we bridge you over to healthy relationships if that's what you want. And so my goal here, as you get coached by me, you get a lot of information here, but the coaching is not on the live. When you get coached by me, you will get the ability to wrap yourself in more healing than trauma, so that when you go outside, you'll be more informed and you'll be better prepared. And if by chance you don't want another relationship, being a better version of yourself is a win-win anyway. So if you need to communicate with me about my coaching, go to the website www.sitdownandheal.com and you will be amazed at everything is there. We'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end, but let's get started. So tonight's topic is so let's do this. I'm gonna tell you about the topic, and then I'm gonna tell you how this culminated and came about. So we're identifying childhood trauma footprint in relationship, right? And the overarching title is called Echoes of the Past, right? So the reason why we are going to do a series of 4 shows this month of November because another coach that I affiliate with called Stephanie, your fave trauma coach, she uh, had the idea that we need a month to celebrate for childhood trauma awareness. And it's not a national awareness yet, but she was able to get a proclamation done in her home state of Louisiana, in her home city. And when I saw her discuss it, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. We're going to celebrate Childhood Trauma Awareness Month right here on the Sit Down and Heal podcast. We're going to do a series of 4 shows. This is just the first one. And we're going to talk about some things. Maybe you learn some things. Maybe you get enlightened along the way. So tonight, the first show, we're talking about identifying the childhood trauma's footprint on or in your relationships. So it's kind of like how the childhood affects the big version of you, right? You know, I talk about this a lot. So we're going to do a little bit of nuance tonight because I don't want y'all to think I'm repeating myself. But you know what? I can repeat myself, right? Because that means y'all listening. So how does your childhood affect your relationships? You know, now I'm a grown up, right? Like I'm officially a grown up. I never knew that this was a thing. And so when we talk about childhood trauma awareness, and when I heard Coach Stephanie talk about it, even though I kind of knew it, are we really tackling this on like a global scale? Is it as serious as some of the other things that we bring awareness to? Absolutely. And in some cases, it's way more important than some of the other things. Now, we're not talking about things like cancer and things like that, but think about a lot of the stuff that's debilitating for us in our lives, right? That could be originated from childhood trauma, right? You going through stress, anxiety, depression, survival mode. What if all those things started in your childhood? Wouldn't that be one of the most important things that we would have to try to bring awareness to? What if it's affecting all your relationships, which then beget things like pain, heartache, heartbreak? Wouldn't it be important to bring awareness to this? It probably is more important than a lot of stuff that we champion. So we're going to bring awareness to it tonight and the rest of this month. And Coach Stephanie would agree with me that we need to do it year round, but we're going to hyper focus on it this month. So stay tuned. So we have to look at how the childhood affects the adult relationships. But I was starting to say, I never knew this was a thing. Like we live in our grown bodies, right? We 20, 30, 40, 50, infinity and beyond, right? However old you are. And we move through our life on I hope somebody like me. I hope it worked. If I try to work on fixing them, maybe I'll be happy. They're not really my type, and there's nothing really amazing about them, but I'm lonely. We go through our lives hoping that we'll connect to something or someone, and we do not think about why we move the way we move. It's not even a thought. Why is it not a thought? Because who told us to look back to go forward? No one told us to do that. Figure it out. Suck it up. Keep going. You broke up. Go find somebody else and you'll feel better, right? That's what we do. Isolate yourself so you'll never get hurt again. But we never look at the source. We never look at the root. And here at Sit Down and Heal Coaching, it's all about the roots here. Because if we don't tackle the roots, everything else is going to be poison and virus. Y'all know I'm an engineer. You put a virus in the computer, that thing is trash until you clean the virus out. We got to get the virus out. Stop trying to put patches on stuff. Right? So now we got to look at why. Why am I moving like this? We'll say things like this because we don't know to look back. All the bad people are just attracted to me. So that's just my lot in life. They just all bad. It's them. It's just, maybe I just have that kind of cloud over my head. They just always find me. And we never ask ourselves why. Because it's not just that they find you, you chilling with them too. Why? When you know it's not for you. Why? Why? Right? Sit down and heal isn't just a cute name. It's a directive. When you do this inventory of your life, we got to search for the why. And to the point of this celebrating, or I hate to use the word celebrating, but bringing awareness to childhood trauma. Why? Why is it even a thing to bring awareness to? And how serious is it for me, the individual who's just out here trying to make it, who's just out here who's out here functioning in life as we all do? Do we ever take time to sit back, focus, and try to figure out how to move better? Because think about this, right? We off the no notes tonight. We just all gas tonight. Think about this. When we go through things, when we hurt, whether it's past or present hurt, and we understand the pain, and then we say, you know what, that hurt. Let me try to move better. But who gives you instructions on move better? It's trial and error, right? Move better. So you know what move better looks like. And we're going to talk about the childhood part in a second. I need for you to understand the current behavior before we go back, right? Because we're going to time travel tonight. Move better. Let me tell you what move better looked like for me. When I got hurt, my move better was just find somebody the opposite of the person that hurt me. That's move better. There's no healing. There's no figuring out alignment. Just don't be like the person that hurt me. That's the bar. It's a low bar, right? Because you gonna find somebody that's the opposite of them. That's easy. Finding somebody that aligns with you, that means you had to be aware of yourself. Who's doing that? The current behavior that we do, sometimes we try to figure out why we keep searching for our type that keeps hurting us. That type keeps hurting us and we keep going back. Why? Why are we looking for someone like our mama or our father when we always keep getting hurt when we do it? We don't understand why. Why do we keep being in abusive relationship after relationship? What are we doing? Why? When you search for the why, when you get to look at your patterns, you get to see that the behavior has a rhythm to it. It just keeps going, right? It's like a hamster wheel. It just spins until you stop and realize, you look around, you're like, wait a minute, who the hell put me on this wheel? Exactly the question. How did you get there? Why? Yeah, y'all gonna hear me say why a lot tonight, so get used to it. And as they say, get over yourself if you don't like it. so think about the mishaps. This is something I had to learn too. Sometimes we don't even consider it mishaps because it feels good. Right? Feel good. Supposed to mean all good, right? Until it hurts or until you get tired of it. I like being around a different person every other day and pretending like I'm in love. Why you like that? I didn't say hop around because you're a player. You've fallen in love in a week. Why? Now somebody gonna say, well, my parents fell in love in 2 days and they've been married for 60 years. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the rest of us. Why? Why you fall in love so fast? Why you try to fix everybody when they hurting you? Where does it come from? Once upon a time in a land far, far away, I had to sit down and heal. I had to sit down. I had to stop because something in me said, This ain't you. You're not happy. There's no joy in your life, but you keep filling it with things to pacify you. People. Eventually, you're going to drive yourself crazy chasing that chicken, but not all the time. Let me tell you why. And then we're going to talk about the little kid in a minute. Sometimes you build a coping mechanism around acquiring people so much that you don't know any other way. Because your trauma is so front facing that you can't even sit by yourself. Why? So instead of sitting down and figuring out why you can't sit by yourself, you call yourself a player because you can get what you want. You're the man, you the woman, because you can just manipulate people to get what you want. Are you really a master manipulator? Or can you just not be by yourself? So you had to create a version of yourself that needs to manipulate, to expedite. Pay attention to what I'm about to say. You need to manipulate to expedite the attachment so that you don't feel by yourself. And when you have to do this for self-preservation in your mind, you're now the villain, even though your motives seem pure. Why? So I learned through this coaching journey that I've been on that a lot of this stuff was in us way before we met our narcissist, way before we even had our first heartbreak. How is that possible? Because we got to bring awareness to this or else we're going to keep spinning our wheels. I wouldn't be a coach if we knew what to do. Coach Stephanie wouldn't be a coach if we knew how to look at our lives in this way. What if the thing that led you to your now defunct marriage, maybe 3 failed relationships where your heart was ripped out, what if the source of that path had nothing to do with the people? What if the source of that path was you? So now let's talk about this. And I did talk about this on a live about time travel, but I think that it bears to repeat it because it makes sense. And I got some hellified analogies. So hold on to your lazy boy recliners because we're about to talk about time travel. When you are triggered, when you react to things, whether it's anger, whether you retreat, whether you hide as a way to protect yourself. Why? So when these things happen, what you don't realize is happening under the surface is that your mind in real time is traveling back to the past. It's remembering how it felt to get triggered like this. And then you immediately come back to the present and you're reacting to it based on how that tether, it's not even current, it's past, living itself in the present. And because it's trauma, it will feel like you're living it right now. Now the person that you're sitting across from embodies everything that's happened along that trail. That's why we have to do this work to figure it out, because it will control us without us even knowing sometimes. So now let's talk about time travel, right? And this is a little sci-fi, but because I'm such a great translator, we gonna go there. Because A lot of times art imitates life, right? So when we think about these movies that we love, like Back to the Future, and there's a lot of things out there that talk about time travel and Marvel and all these other things, right? But the sentiment becomes this. And if you guys are familiar with Back to the Future, this will make sense. When you go to the past and relive something from the past, if you were a time traveler, you would want to try to change it so that the future you doesn't have to go through the tumultuousness that you're dealing with now, right? But what happens when you go back to the past and you try to change it, now you have built what's called a new timeline for yourself. So now the trajectory of your life changes just by a small decision that you make, right? If you remember Back to the Future, whenever he changed something, they would flash back forward to the present, and things would start to change instantly. I need for y'all to pay attention to what I'm doing right now. So unchecked, this childhood trauma, your present still stays miserable. And it stays miserable because when your mind goes back to the past, you're not changing anything in your mind. So it's going to continue to repeat every time it's triggered. And you're going to keep time traveling back to the past. Often, pain, hurt, abandonment still going to show up. It's still going to feel just like it did when the original thing happened. And there's no change. What happens when you do things like shadow work, when you start to realize that that inner child is affecting your adult life, now when you time travel, you get to look and you actually get to put a face to the inner child and you say, wait a minute, we can't keep doing this. We have to make some adjustments because I'm tired of this stuff keep happening. So now think about it. You're in the past and you're talking to your younger self. Please, the next time that we meet somebody that's 6 foot and we gotta slow stop this. I know the abandonment issue is there, but we gotta stop. Please. I got this. Right? Now, true to time traveling law, you've interfered with the past now. So remember, when you interfere with the past, you build a new timeline and the trajectory of your future changes. Now you start to see the world differently because you affected your past self. So bringing awareness to this is mandatory. What if you having a conversation in the past in your mind changes just like in Back to the Future, how you behave now. And then it builds a new timeline to a better version of you that makes better decisions, not perfect, that you would have never been on if you did not look at these things. How would your life be different without that pain leading the charge, without that little kid eating first, driving you? So when we travel back to look at this inner child, we're going to cry. We're going to feel some things, but we know the goal is to change the trajectory of our present and our future. It's imperative, especially if you've been through some things like we all have. Pain, despair, picking wrong, staying too long. It hurts. Some of y'all been divorced 5 times. What are we doing? And where does it come from? When I pause, that's for y'all to think. Time travel, shadow work, same thing. I like to give you these little analogies because sometimes it seems daunting. We're changing the trajectory of our lives transforming ourselves, healing ourselves, actively managing things that trigger us. Once we start to realize that the triggers activate time travel, our minds go there instantaneously while we arguing with someone. It's so fast that you don't even realize it's happening because you're living in the moment. But your subconscious don't need to live in the moment. It needs to protect you. I hope y'all catching this. I swear. The subconscious needs to protect you while you're fighting. And it needs to find, please, I need for y'all to just walk with me here. Your subconscious needs to find a way to protect you from things like conflict, things that hurt. So while you are in real time being affected and being hurt, it doesn't know how to handle it. So it has to go back to a reference point to know how to handle it. What do we do when someone yells at us? Well, time travel, mom used to yell at us. We used to run to the next room. We used to shrink ourselves. Okay, do that now. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Why are you in the middle of the do it right now? Okay, cool. Okay. You know what? You got it. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. Yeah. Okay, cool. Can I just go? Thanks. We will think it's just who we are, but it's the trajectory and the timeline that led to you today. What is that? What does that thread look like? Is it traumatic? Do you respond to these things in a way that's almost childlike? Right? Some of y'all still fold y'all arms when y'all get mad and y'all be having a scrunchy face. I be like, how old are you right now? Right? Your subconscious traumatized self time travels instantaneously because it needs a reference point for how to handle things to protect you. But here's the ugly part of this protection. Here's the ugly part of this protection. Some of us, when that subconscious time travels back, it sees dysfunction. It knows no better. So then it seeks out dysfunction as a way to keep you safe. We have to reparent that inner child to give it some correction so that we don't keep on this same timeline. Right? If you're familiar with science fiction, comic books, Marvel, DC Comics, you don't have to because I'm going to educate you right now. They have this thing called the multiverse. And the multiverse has an unlimited amount of different planet Earths. And on each planet Earth, there's a you, but it's just from a different trajectory, a different timeline, right? So like I could be Coach Derek here, but in an alternate timeline, the alternate universe, I'm the president of the United States. On this other one, I could be a guy who gets abused every day. And depending on where you go in the trajectory, you could end up a totally different person just by your choices. Think about that. If every day the choices that we make create different timelines, who we meet, what we do, creates a timeline that has a trajectory to go to a certain future. What kind of timeline do you think we live in when we dealing with a narcissist and we feel beat down, when we have neglectful parents, when we have abandonment wounds and trust wounds? What is that? What does that turn into? So think about this. You're traveling on this path with your trauma attached to your back, and you sit somewhere for an extra 10 years. Now your life is going in one direction, and it stays there because you don't change. When your mind goes to the past to protect you, it only knows one way. There's no correction. So when you do things like therapy, when you do things like coaching, when you do things like psychiatry, and you start to become more aware of yourself, the trajectory changes. Right? Not only does your trajectory change, your energy that you emit from your body changes. What it attracts, who you choose to be around. Your radar will be more sensitive to things. Now your trajectory changes fundamentally. Let me tell you something else that changes the trajectory, right? Let's do this. Let's say that you had a spouse and you and your spouse fight all the time. But underneath the surface, it's really just two inner children triggering each other back and forth. You don't realize that because you're grown, but you're triggering each other, right? Then one of you decides, I'm going to get coaching by Coach Derek, and I'm going to learn about myself. I'm going to learn better language. I'm not leaving the relationship, but I want to understand myself better because I understand that this fighting that we're doing is just a cycle. Pay attention to what I'm saying. This fighting that I'm doing with my husband or my wife is a cycle because the thread that your mind goes to in conflict goes back to the past when you get triggered to how you react. And how you react could fundamentally be the thing that triggers your partner to go back to the past and come back in real time. And now we got conflict all the time. But what if one of you decides to heal and become more aware and understand who you are? And then you show up with your partner and you say, hey, we got to do something different now because I understand now better why I'm like this and why I react to you like this. And I understand also by looking at you that this isn't really an argument we need to have. Let's do better together. You might need to go get some help too, like I did, because we got to do, I don't want to leave you. What do you think happens to the trajectory of not just their individual lives, but that marriage? We just built a new timeline. You have fundamentally changed the direction of your life just by making a decision. Remember, I said every decision you make changes the trajectory, good, bad, or indifferent. And who gets to determine who makes the decisions? It better not be your inner child, because you might be in a world of hurt. Growing up, you need to take the steering wheel. But you can only do that if you know that they in there driving. I'm such a nerd. They in there driving a DeLorean. Some of y'all will get it, and some of y'all won't. That DeLorean is designed to go back to the past. Stop letting them drive. See, the thing about it is that we can't change the pain. We can't change the trauma, but we can change what we do about it. Right? We're talking about childhood trauma awareness. Even if you don't work on it, how powerful is aware? It's a starting point. Aware. It's your lowest bar. Just be aware. Then hopefully that will steer you in a direction to work on it. A lot of us don't work on it. We become aware, so we kind of move a little different, but it's like 20% because we didn't do the work. But that 20%, because you weren't ever aware of yourself, will feel like 100 to you. I'm good. Let me tell y'all what the 20 percenters say. Yeah, I know I've been sitting at home for the past 10 years, but I'm working on myself. I already know I got abandonment wounds. I already know, I already know, I already know. And y'all know what I try to tell y'all here. The behavior will always tell you more than the mouth ever will. Because all you got to ask that person is, you've been working on yourself and healing. Ask them this. So, what did you do to get there? They can never answer it. So, you can lie to me. You can lie to your friends and family. But why the hell are you lying to yourself? It's not working. It's not working. So, fundamentally, we need to start with being aware, and then we build upon that to change the trajectory of our future, right? To change the trajectory of the right now. What direction does it point? Right? Think about it like this. All it really takes, right, is for you to have a bad day to make a bad decision. All it takes is for you to punch the wrong person out of anger to fundamentally change the trajectory of your life. Well, imagine what trauma does. Trauma isn't a fist fight in a bar. It lives inside you every day. Imagine what that inner child is doing every day. We're not talking about Friday night fights. We're talking about everyday decisions based on how that little kid feels. We don't even realize it's happening. And that's why you need a coach, because you need somebody to see you from the air. So we could be like, wait, you did. Oh, wait a minute. You keep picking narcissists because you have an abandonment wound and you keep doing and we can piece it together for you. But while you inside your body, you function. You smile. You take pictures on Instagram and you cool until we look at how you move. And that's where the information is. You can look at how you move if you sit down and stop and detox from it. Then once you get the information aware, then you can say, okay, I don't know how to work on building resilience around this. I need help. Let me get Coach Derek. Let me get a therapist. Now you can get the tools to manage what you learned about yourself. But without that, what does your life look like? Yeah, you're a great parent. Yeah, you got to raise at work. But inside your soul is torment. When you sitting by yourself, you can't. You got to engulf yourself in your kids. You got to engulf yourself in watching whatever on TV for 30 hours straight because you just can't be by yourself. That's where the issue is. Why? Why can't you be around somebody you like without falling in love in 2 days? Why? Why does it have to accelerate so fast? And I'm not talking about the magical unicorn person. You're like, well, we fell in love in 2 hours and it worked. I'm talking about every person you meet, you fall in love with. There's no filter. Why? Do you need it so bad that it doesn't matter who it is? You gotta figure that out. And you'd be like, well, I'm all right. And I'd be like, nah, let me tell you something. You're not all right. Because you hurt when you fall in love and you go too fast and they discard you. It hurt, don't it? Yeah, it hurts every time. So you're not all right. It's still in you. So let's get this work, y'all. So this month, I'm going to start landing my plane. This is not going to be a super long show, this one, because we got a series of them. But I'm going to land my plane on this because this is really something that you need to sit back and ponder at home. I don't have to talk your head off today. Next week might be a different story. I might be talking your head off, but this is really a point where we got to sit back and ponder, sit down and heal, pun intended. Aware. Are you aware of how you move, or do you just move? Autopilot. I need for y'all to hear my words. Autopilot means you're not driving. I hope y'all caught that. Jesus. Are you living life on autopilot, or are you in control? Because you know who's flying the plane. It's a little kid. Let me tell y'all something. You want a little 5-year-old to fly the plane that you want? I hope y'all catching these analogies. I swear. A little kid is flying the airplane to your destination. Remember, we talked about trajectory. We talked about timelines. A little 5-year-old, 10-year-old is driving a plane with no experience. You don't want that. You know where that ends. You know what that feels like. You let that little kid keep flying that plane, you're going to keep crashing. So let me do this real quick before I land this plane and tell y'all all the other little stuff. It's not that you know how to drive the plane, but you come to coaching and you get flying lessons. So when you go back in the plane, you can say, move over, little boy, little girl. I got this. Thank you for trying. Damn it, I hope y'all got that. Because I'm making it up on the fly for y'all. Who's driving? That's it. If y'all need to find me, YouTube will be there in perpetuity. So you'll be able to look at the replays there. You'll also be able to listen to the replays in audio on all major podcasting platforms. Spotify, you can do both video and audio, so you don't even have to go back to YouTube. You can stay where you have your little playlist, your little New Edition playlist. You can go ahead and listen to New Edition and then flip over to the Sit Down and Heal podcast, and you don't have to go nowhere. So think about it. What does the trajectory look like? And when you have the epiphany that you need help, find it. Right? Even if it's not me, you owe it to yourself to change the timeline. So sitdownandheal.com, all major audio podcasting platforms. And when you go to sitdownandheal.com, there's some amazing stuff there. So just click everything. So I bid you a good night. I want you guys to have an amazing rest of your night. And I'll be back here next week. We're going to have another amazing topic to bring awareness to childhood trauma the whole month of November. So we got 3 more to go, y'all. So come back. You'll see the advertisements on my social media about what's coming up. And we just going to get it, y'all. Like, it's time to stop rescheduling your healing. It's time to stop playing around with this thing, because your future depends on it. The people around you that depend on you are unconsciously, subconsciously waiting on you to figure your shit out. So let's do it together, so you don't have to keep doing it by yourself, because it's not working. So I'll talk to you guys next week, same time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every single Tuesday. The Sit Down and Heal podcast is live, and I implore you to keep coming back.